Flying privately brings many advantages. You get to set your schedule, you pick the airports, you choose the type of aircraft, from ultra-long haul private jets to turboprops, ideal for short hops. You end up saving time and arrive at your destination ready to play, get down to business, or just relax. However, the surge in private jet travel to record levels is putting a considerable strain on the system, much of it beyond providers' control. These delays are being caused by fuel shortages, in some cases due to lack of drivers, backups in maintenance, which are driven by labor and part shortages, as well as air traffic control. Caterers are experiencing supply chain issues as well. Oh, there's also ground transportation. One large private jet operator says that while flights are up 30% over 2019 pre-pandemic levels, complaints about carve services and rental cars are up over 300%. Still, you won't find fist fights and shouting matches that seem to be part of the airline experience these days. You also won't be crowded standing on snaking lines to check in at security or working your way through the crowd for priority boarding. If you are flying privately, to help you get wheels up as smoothly as possible, here are some recommendations. Number 1, book as far in advance as possible. This helps your provider procure the best aircraft for your flight and arrange a backup if there's a mechanical issue. Number 2, check the buying power of your provider. Before you sign the contract for an on-demand charter, ask your broker what type of volume they have with the charter operator they're using. Charter operators tend to take care of their best customers first, so a broker driving a lot of business to the operator has more clout to ensure that their customers are taken care of. It's not unheard of that an operator will pull an airplane from the customer of one broker if there's a mechanical issue or another issue with the jet assigned to a more significant customer. That means a requote with short notice pricing, often up to 50% more. Third, don't fly on peak days. In addition to surcharges, jet card programs can move your departure time by up to 6 hours in either direction. Most fixed-rate jet cards guarantee service recovery at no additional cost if there's no available aircraft, which could mean waiting until the next day, particularly on peak days. Number 4, avoid flying Thursdays, Fridays, and Sundays. If you can travel on lower demand days, you'll likely find better pricing. More importantly, you'll be less likely to face delays. Stay away from Thursdays, Fridays, and Sundays if you can. At some resort and second home airports, private flights during August were up more than 100%. Next, be sure you're accurate about the amount of luggage and pets when you book. Giving your provider accurate information about luggage and pets is crucial because this impacts the type of aircraft you'll need and the type that they will source for you. Each operator has its own rules regarding how it handles pets with the FAA. Then they're required to adhere to those rules. Your provider is booking your trip based on the information you provide. So if you say you have 2 Boston Terriers, don't expect to fly if you show up with 4 large Belgian sheepdogs. If you have pet carriers, have the dimensions available. Some large carriers don't fit through the door of certain private jets. And the same goes for luggage. Provide as much detail about all of what you're bringing with you as possible. If you show up with a Peloton bike, it might not fit. What's more, the maximum takeoff weight for a private jet is calculated by including passengers, pets, baggage, fuel, and other factors. Adding luggage may mean a fuel stop, which is something you'll have to pay for additionally, or it could mean you simply have to ship luggage. Next up, limit your catering orders in secondary markets. In secondary markets where there aren't dedicated kitchens, fewer local caterers are serving private aviation. Find out who's doing the catering for your departure airport and see if they have experience in private aviation catering before you order. You also want to limit catering special requests for specific brands of juices or boutique waters. Order your catering when you book the flights, hopefully as far in advance as possible. Caterers are suffering from the same shortages as restaurants and grocery stores, and while some providers will still accommodate requests for high-end restaurants in major cities, staying with sandwiches, wraps, and fruit plates is probably a smarter move. The next tip is to book ground transport at the time that you book your flights. While most private aviation providers are happy to assist with ground transport, if you can't find suitable ground transport, chances are your provider won't be any more successful than you. While that may not deter you from having them give it a crack, keep in mind their support staffs are already stretched thin. Another tip is to track your inbound aircraft for delays. Your provider will sometimes give you a tail number when you book on demand or within 24 hours for both jet cards and if you're booked with a floating fleet operator. You can track your tail number on services like FlightAware by entering the tail number. While your provider should be keeping you up to date regarding delays, it also makes sense to check on your own. Delays in refueling, air traffic control, or passengers who show up with too much baggage on the preceding flight can lead to your flight being delayed. You're also going to want to reconfirm with your provider before you head to the airport. Make a call to your provider before you head to the airport. Floating fleet operators will sometimes switch aircraft for operational reasons, so your provider can let you know about any last-minute changes, including using a different FBO. Which leads to our next tip, which is to know the FBO. The FBO is the place you go to board your private flight. Have its phone number in case you get lost. Passenger entrances at private jet terminals can sometimes be hard to find. In some cases, Google Maps isn't completely accurate. They're often on opposite ends of airfields, so it can easily be a few miles between FBOs. At some busy airports, the same company may even have multiple locations. Don't let your driver leave until you've confirmed that you're in the right place. And finally, arrive at least 30 minutes before your scheduled departure. While you avoid TSA and long security lines, if you show up a bit early for your private flight, you might be able to leave a bit early. Either way, when you arrive at the FBO, you'll need to check in at the front desk and have your pilots paged. If it's busy, you may need to wait a few minutes. By showing up 30 minutes before departure, the worst case is that you have a few minutes to freshen up before boarding. Lavatories on small jets can be a bit cramped, so it's always a good idea to use the facilities in the FBO if possible. So how about you? How many times have you flown private this last year? Let us know in the comments below, and check these videos on the screen for another video that might interest you. Thanks for watching.